Hello, hello. Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm here with Ashish.
Hello.
Thank you very much for coming here. The next 20 minutes, we will invite you to our session. We'll talk about reengineering project delivery in Odoo Enterprise. I'm very happy that I'm here with my client and partner from Simplee AG. And yes, so what can you expect the next 20 minutes? First of all, we will introduce ourselves quickly. We will show you what we did already in Odoo, and then what challenges we had in Odoo to have really successful and efficient project engineering and delivery. And in the end, stay tuned, we will also give you a small demo, so a small sneak peek into Simplee's system, and then we will summarize the most important points to you. So, maybe a few words about ourselves. I'm Hannah. I'm with Much Consulting, a Germany-based consultancy for Odoo. We are also a gold partner. We also have a big red booth at the entrance hall. I'm implementing services projects mostly, so customers who are mostly in the services area. It's a lot of fun, and I'm really happy to be here together with Ashish, one of my long-standing clients.
Thank you, Hannah. My name is Ashish. I am part of the digitalization team at Simplee. What we do at Simplee? So Simplee is basically a company based in Switzerland. We provide charging infrastructure for the e-mobility sector. So that means all kind of charging solutions. Can you go to the next slide? Yeah. So all kind of charging solutions which are related to AC charging or DC charging. This is something we provide. We started this journey about 5 years ago, and during the last 5 years we have about more than 1,000 partners, and we have sold within Switzerland more than 25,000 chargers. So yeah, this is the journey we have so far. I think now if you want to go back with the QR.
Yes, we're a bit flexible. We're jumping a little bit the slides, but I hope we are all a bit flexible today. So in case you are interested into looking into the slides, we have a bit more detail on the slides. Feel free to scan the QR code here. You will also get a chance at the end of the talk to scan the QR code again. So if you first just want to listen in, that's also completely fine. But just in case you want to have more information, feel free to scan the QR code. So now we're jumping again.
Yeah, so I mean, in terms of the solutions we provide, is basically we have an end-to-end sort of project management in which we take over your requirements. The requirements could be in terms of that we would like to install like 1,000 chargers in your building. That building could be a bank building, it could be an insurance, and we take over the whole project management, defining the strategy for your charging infrastructure. And we take it from there. Where Odoo comes into picture is basically we use Odoo for our whole back office processing, as well as the website which we have is built in Odoo.
Yes, so basically you can also see this up here. What I would like you to take away is that basically Simplee uses nearly all processes inside Odoo. So we have a huge ton of apps installed, and we also have some external solutions. We have, for example, a warehouse integration, or Simplee is also using business intelligence to have a really good reporting of all their processes, and also some custom apps that Much we as a partner installed. For example, you can see it in the little icons on the bottom right. We do quite a lot of property management where we want to register buildings and parking spots inside Odoo to connect them to other standard apps, and we also store and register electricity tariffs to make sure that all the invoicing of charger infrastructure works nicely. Also, Much and Simplee is working together since 2023. A very happy collaboration, I would say. And currently, Odoo is still in version 15 for Simplee, but we are also doing a very big upgrade currently to Odoo 18. We're nearly at the finish line, and I think all Simplee is very excited to use all the new functionalities in version 18.
We are looking forward to Odoo 18.
Yes. So basically what brings us here, we want to talk about project management and also project implementation. So the whole project delivery from start to finish line. And Simplee had the feeling that the standard project app that we have in Odoo is quite nice, but not necessarily the best fit for the big, complex project implementations that Simplee is doing. For example, there are a lot of clients that want to be onboarded. There are the users in Odoo who want to be onboarded and carry out the operations. There should be a fast and clean execution, and also afterwards there should be all kinds of reporting inside Odoo. So basically, Simplee worked with the projects app, but they also had an external project management tool on the side, Asana. Probably many of you know it. I also like the software and I know it, but of course it's nicer to do your whole project delivery inside Odoo, so you can all the tracking, reporting, and you have all the standard workflow connections to other apps. So basically, when it boils down, there were three things that were most important for Simplee to somehow see in the Odoo infrastructure. First, a lot of projects have the same criteria, the same timelines, and the same people involved. So Simplee wanted to make use of automations and also of project templates that follow advanced decision criteria and rules, and also time-based criteria. On the other side, I think all of us that are project managers knows that you can plan a project, but sometimes you just have to do flexible rescheduling. So we wanted to have more opportunities to actually schedule and reschedule your projects, and also building on past experience you have. For example, if you know how long a lead time or duration of a task is, you want to plan with this also in the future. And last but not least, Simplee has quite a lot of users and also 2 companies that work together in the same Odoo. So there was the need for a multi-layer project structure that goes beyond just projects and tasks, but also enabling business teams to also work with the project app. So how did we actually achieve this while staying as close to Odoo standard as possible? Because we all know that Odoo standard is usually the best way to do things. The modularity of Odoo was one of our biggest players. So as you know, a lot of apps are already connected. For example, the website is connected to the projects app, to timesheeting, to tasks and tickets. So we wanted to build on this already. Then we also started working with automated action that can just make all your processes and creation processes way faster. So we use those automated action to make the project creation automatically based on triggers and criteria that we already defined in advance, because all the knowledge how the project is going to look like is already in the head of the Simplee employees. We just needed to find rules to transfer it to their Odoo. What we also used was a bit of Python code for the snippets and some ready-to-use templates. And last but not least, we did a few customizations together where we analyzed the requirements together and then decided that it makes sense here to customize a bit. So mostly we use project teams, which is basically a third layer inside the project app. You know that there are tasks, there are projects, and we wanted to bring another layer on top of it, the project teams. So we can bring actually departments together to use the project app. Then we also built on top of the project stages functionality. We used the project templates, and we built some more visibility rules and scheduling features. But you will see how this looks like very shortly in action. To guide you a little bit through the demonstration you will see very soon, I would say there are 4 building blocks that are the most important and that you will see also in the demo. So first of all, Odoo uses the Simplee website very successfully. They have a shop, but they also have a lot of information on their website, and potential clients are always interested in asking for a new project. So basically the client can go on the website to a web form, select the kind of services that they want, and there's a big form where they can already enter all their information. For example, they have a big building where they have a lot of parking spots and they want to have e-charging solutions. So they can already enter all the information they have and all the questions they have to Simplee. Then what else do we have? We have the automated actions that I already talked about. So what you can do in Odoo, you can actually say that when a web form is submitted, it can create a task in a project inside Odoo. So what we did is basically build on top of that to say that a task can also create a project on certain criteria. For example, if some time passes or if a task moves in another stage. So we built on those triggers to implement business workflows. Then project scheduling, I think this is also quite important. There's a lot of knowledge inside Simplee how long projects can last. You know, first you have this task, then you have this task, then you have this task, and they know it takes like 5 days, and you can only start the second task when the first task is completed. So Simplee actually built very complex and advanced project templates, and they know when new request comes in, this new project will follow the same flow than the template. So actually with this project scheduling, when we know a new project starting in October, we can build on top of the template and can already plan all 30, 40, 50 tasks that the project has building on this logic. Then we also have the possibility to move a project start date and move all tasks within it, or we can also just partially move tasks. When you have a project with up to 50, 60 tasks, it can be quite a hassle in Odoo to manually move them. You can use the Gantt view, or you can use the list view, but it's a bit tedious, and with some automatations, we managed to do it all in one click. And last but not least, access management. So we basically built the third layer, the project teams, where you can invite users, and then you can also decide if all projects within this project team is going to be public, so every user in Odoo can see it, or if it's private, and all projects inside this project team is only visible for the members or users of this department, which I think is quite handy, and there's a lot of project teams currently in use. So I would say let's see how this looks like in action.
Sure. Before we start, I think I just give a brief overview of what the demo is about. So it's about a partner who basically logs into Odoo website and starts to fill out a form on how to scale up his charging infrastructure for an existing building. So there are few fields inside the form where they will fill up the form, and the form goes inside Odoo, creates a project, and then we will see the whole flow of the project, how it goes through. Yeah, maybe you can start. So it starts with a simple web form. So if you see, it's a simple web form on the website. I did not fill out the fields because there are quite a few of them, and there are some mandatory fields and some optional fields. So once the form is submitted, it goes, obviously you get the standard message that the form is successful. Then we go inside Odoo, and here you see inside the, you can go next play. Inside the projects, there is a project where it's a sort of a landing project where the task from the form has landed. So this is where all the information which this client has filled in is basically stored inside this task. The idea is that from this task, we are able to create a new project which uses an existing template specified only for that business flow or that business process. So if you, yes. So here we are still inside that project. If you see here, a new project got created. So this is a new project. There's a time-based condition behind it that once the task comes in, after 1 minute or 10 minutes, it creates a new project. If you see here, it already has 28 tasks inside this project. So these are coming from the template. It already has an assignment. There's already a start date. And it already tells certain tags are already attached. So all this information has been taken from the template. Obviously, the start date is based on when this task was created. Yeah, let's go in. So this is where we show basically the planned date when the task was started. The end date is intentionally kept empty so that the user or the project lead who is doing this project has the option to define the end date together with the client. Yeah, here you can stop. So here, if you see here, these are the new functionalities which Hannah mentioned before. There's a project template behind this project, and these project templates have already been defined by different business teams. So once a project is going to get created, it will use the standard template for this business flow. In general, in total, we have more than, I think at this moment, more than 50 templates which are catering to quite a lot of business processes. The next functionality, which was, yeah, if you see here, there are a lot of project templates which are used. The next functionality, which is very important for us, is basically that we are able to move the project or move the start date of the project or move only certain tasks in a project. Why we need it is it can happen in certain cases. We start a project, but the building permit is not there, or there's no budget available, or in certain cases the client says, okay, you know, I want to install only 10 charging infrastructures, the rest 10 we will do it probably next year, but I want to keep this project open. So in that case, we'll do only certain tasks, but the rest of the tasks need to be moved to next year. So in this case, there is an option to actually move the full project to a different to a date in the future, or to move only certain tasks as of today in the future. So this is an option which is very useful for us, because it happens with us quite a lot that certain projects need to be stopped because of certain regulatory requirements. And if you see here, this project also has basically the different Kanban stages are also taken from the template, and also the allotted times are also taken from the template itself. So basically the project lead, they did a review and they defined how much time is required for each task. So this is something which they have already mentioned inside the template. So each task will get created, it's got like a time allocated. So 30 minutes, 1 hour, 30 minutes. This is based on the experience which they have gathered over the last 4 or 5 years working with different clients. And here, it goes basically one step back. If you just pause here, 1 second. Yeah, so in this flow, what happens? Basically, so we have defined sort of dependencies. What happens when a client fills in the form? The new project gets created, in which we create a concept. We present this concept to the client approves the concept, and then we start the implementation. So we have divided the templates for the concept and the implementation into different projects. So this is the second project in which basically we start the project once the client approves the concept. And how does the project gets created here? This is something very interesting which we have done. So if you go, we are again back in the concept project. So once the concept is created, it's approved, the project lead will go in and will move the last task. That means concept is approved. It basically moves the last task to that. Now you can start the implementation. So as soon as the task is moved, it has created a new project here based on the template from the project implementation. And obviously you see here that number of tasks here are much more, because the implementation needs much more effort compared to the concept itself. Rest of the interface is very similar. Again, you have the option to actually move certain tasks to a different date. You can always basically define the visibility rules. This is pretty standard, I think. And if you see here also, the Kanban stages basically are again taken from the template itself. Yeah. Can you just pause here just 1 second? So this is something I think Hannah mentioned before. So if you see this layer here, where it says project lead and different project teams under it. So this is the extra layer which we have implemented for us. So that means basically within the project lead team, the team is divided under sub-teams, like 10 to 15 sub-teams, and the teams which are taking care of maybe different clients, different kind of processes. Similarly, we have teams, for example, within HR. So there is a folder which is called HR. So within HR, there's a team which does only onboarding, or projects only for onboarding, or there are projects only for offboarding. So for us, it was very important to be able to distinguish all these project teams separately and have their access rights. For example, I give you an example, like you do your bilateral with your manager. So there are different folders. Each employee have their own folder in which all their information like from their talks with their managers is stored, but only they have access, or their manager have access to this folder or this project. No one else basically can go in and look at that.
Okay, I think we can conclude the demo. Mm-hmm. I hope that was insightful. So I quickly want to say, most importantly, on the left-hand side, you can see how big the scope is that Simplee is currently implementing with this approach. There are over 2,000 projects inside Odoo, 100 project teams, 50 plus templates. So it's really big, and because it's running so smoothly, we're already thinking ahead how could we extend this workflow, and we have several ideas on that. If you're interested in something that's written on the right-hand side, feel free to also approach us, come by our booth. I think we have some interesting ideas there. And last but not least, maybe as a quick summary, what is most important? What was the biggest impact in everyday project work? So mostly this approach reduces the actual amount of errors and manual step, because a lot of workflows are automated, there are templates, it's ready to use, it's running through smoothly. Also, with the multi-layer access rights and templates, we could streamline the processes and ensure data privacy. And the last thing, it just gave us so much more speed and output. Since we migrated the strategy, the overall project volume this year has increased by factor 5, because we could just automate so much. So in 2025, we had actually 1,200 new projects compared to 600 projects only between 5 years before. So this is actually a big achievement.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, so basically we arrived at the end of our presentation. 2 things here. You can slide the QR code if you haven't so far to get your slides there. And you can also, of course, come by our booth in the entrance hall or also approach Ashish from Simplee. And in case you have any questions you want to target to us right away, you can also scan the QR code here and shoot us your questions.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. Actually, someone is asking. Just 1 second, and I will receive it. So the first question is: are the implementations available?
We don't hear you.
don't
I
hear
think
you.
yeah.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
No.
No. Okay.
Do you hear? I don't
Can you
know.
hear it? No. You can hear it from here, or not? Okay, no worry. I will go closer. The first question. The first question is: are the implementations available on the market?
I think I will answer this. Actually, we did not put those implementations on the market because it was a bit requirement simply specific, and every customer is a little bit different. So we usually want to make sure we deliver high quality consulting and implementation. So we always do a requirements analysis first. In case you think this is an approach you would also like to use at your Odoo, feel free to approach us. I'm pretty sure we can help you out with that. But no, currently it's not on the market.
Perfect. The second question is: what are the lessons learned, and if you would do something different?
Maybe I can answer this from the Simplee point of view. So lessons learned for us is obviously one of it is that if you implement something good, and so that means the business users will obviously use it. As Hannah mentioned before, the number of projects in 1 year have increased more than 5-fold compared to the last 5 years. And so this is a big lesson for us, that even if customization in the beginning, it feels like it can be a lot of work, but if the end result is something which is good, the business users will actually use it. So we should not be afraid of some customizations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Another question is: do you plan to work on this after upgrades and use functions from Odoo 18 or probably 19?
Yes, definitely. Usually when we upgrade a system, of course, we always check out, are some of the functions we are using maybe already there in standard in version 18 here, for example. And then, of course, we want to modify our customization a bit so it takes that into account. I think actually the Projects app in Odoo has made significant improvements from version 15 to version 18 and 19. Odoo 19 I have to look into more in detail, but I think some things like project templates are also coming in the new version, so I think we will have to have a look into that.
Sure.
But I mean, of course, it's a big improvement, Odoo 18, also in terms of the user interface, in my opinion. But we wanted to copy a lot of existing customizations because, as we said, we have a running, very smooth project flow, and we want to hit the ground running when we go live with Odoo 18.
Okay, perfect. And the last one, I think that you probably have already answered this, but what do you want to improve in the future?
I would give this question to you. It's your business.
So we are in the middle of right now an upgrade for Odoo, moving to Odoo 18, there are certain processes which we project specific, which we would like to improve upon. For example, when a partner fills out a web form, we would like that a sales order is created automatically, and once the user sort of approves the sales order, it creates the project, and the tracking starts automatically. Right now that process is a little bit manual, and this is the whole point why we started implementing project inside Odoo in the first place, to be able to integrate with everything else.
Yes, and maybe to add on top of this, what I also quickly showed, it was a bit fast, but there are many side processes inside Odoo. For example, all the property management with buildings and parking spots that are connected to a building. Like, we have all that information already in Odoo in our much custom apps. But of course, we want to be able to also connect this whole project workflow to the buildings. For example, when you get the go after a concept phase, so when the task from concept phase is moved to implementation, we also want to be able to automatically create new buildings and parking spots inside Odoo to work down the manual labor here as well.
Yes.
So I would say we have a big vision.
Yeah.
So much.
Yes, maybe last point. So in case you have any questions, feel free to approach me and Ashish right after, or you can also come by at the Much Consulting booth in Hall 10 at booth C1. We also have really good coffee, so please feel free to visit us. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.